Thanks, Rajat, and good morning to my co-panelists and all the friends here. Rajat was a superstar in the geopolitics class in Harvard, so he continues to be that. I'm so happy that he invited me. I'm happy to be with all of you. Very quickly, you know, when a child is asked to talk about the cow, he'll say the cow is tied to the coconut tree and talk all about the coconut tree. Likewise, today, when you ask me to talk about blockchain, I'll go into quickly what we are doing in Kerala. If you can go to the next slide, if I can use it. One of the things that all of you will appreciate here is that, you know, we are all different, but we all have only the 24 hours. That's the only difference. You know, the only thing that unites all of us is, and this is hugely wasted in government. So if you go to government office in India, you waste a lot of time. And we want to give the freedom to the people, right? So what is the best governance? Best governance is when I free your time for you. Instead of asking you to come to government offices for your certificates, etc., we should be able to get all of that in a jiffy on your mobile phone. So that's the vision with which we're working in the government of Kerala. It's not working anyways. So what we're doing in the government of Kerala right now is we are creating something called K-Smart. It's coming, is getting launched by the Chief Minister on 1/1/2024 on New Year's Day. It's Kerala Solutions for Administrative Reformation and Management Reformation. What we have is a mobile app. And basically, what we envision is that everybody should be able to do this. They work on the mobile without going to a government office. And it should become very easy for policy makers to make the policies and files, etc. on the mobile. I'm not able to move very fast. Anyway, what we want is joyful citizens, and joyful employees, and efficient administration. And I'll go quickly. I'll go to the position. So basically, e-governance is passé now. All of us done with e-governance. Now we are talking about algo governance. We are talking about predictive governance, something which I passionately did in Tamil Nadu. Predictive governance is you don't need to apply. Can your documents come to your docket without you applying, basically based on a blockchain backbone and a prompting system with dealing with the different applications, different vendors, the government. But I wish I had time to speak about it. Maybe another day we'll talk about it. Basically, what we're saying is people should not run around for the things. They should not apply for a birth certificate. They should not apply for a community certificate, nativity, none of these certificates. On your life cycle, you should be able to get these prompted on different applications of different government departments. In IKM, Information Kerala Mission, what we are doing is we have around 30 applications. 50,000 crores of rupees are passed through these applications. But it's all in different silos. So what we have brought together is one microservices architecture, on top of which we have the DevOps technology. We have done this whole thing in a matter of 82 days. It's very interesting how we develop this application. Basically, we want to delight people. We want to make work in joyful, government joyful, and make my organization a world-class organization. This K-Smart, you'll hear about it once it comes out on 1/1/2024. I personally believe that this is going to be a game changer because for the first time, we have brought in a GIS rule engine, which means you go around with this mobile phone, you don't need to ask anybody. It will tell you whether you're in an airport zone, you're in a railway zone, you're in a CRS zone, you're in a master plan zone, or what's the setback for this building, etc. Generally, a lot of rent seeking happens in this. You go to the Tahsildar's office, they'll tell you, yeah, we'll get you all this information, but at a cost. So this is a massive work that my team has done. It's very interesting, but I'll take you to the blockchain part of it. A very interesting way in which we have developed this software. I will not talk about it because that's not relevant for you. And basically, project management using Jira, Mantis, Confluence, Teams, Zoho people, etc. So these are the applications which are coming out on the mobile phone, which means the birth certificate, civil registration means the birth certificate, death certificate, community, nativity, all those, then property tax, building permit. Building permit in Kerala used to take between 3 days to 30 days to 300 days. I promised 30 minutes, we have brought it down to 30 seconds, which means you can apply it. There is an algorithm which actually looks at the building rules, and if you're putting it in, you will get a certificate then and there. Anyways, I'll come to the part which I'm supposed to speak on, which is blockchain. The Kerala Digital University has helped us with, so there's a mobile app. The Kerala Digital University has helped us. So this is the GIS layer. This is the first time in the country that this is happening. You can go around with your mobile around this room and you'll find exactly where you are. And so this is going to affect around 3 million people, the 3 crore population, 1,200 local bodies, 30 million. And use of blockchain happens here because we wanted to introduce, I mean, forget regulations, there's no regulation in government as of now. The point is that we want to start off somewhere. So we have put a blockchain in the certificates that we are issuing. Birth, death, nativity, all the certificates, plus property tax, all those things that are coming out, we want to give the credentialing part. The compute intensive part we are not using, where the file movement happens, etc. It's all online, but we are not using blockchain for that. The Kerala Digital University has developed this for us, and we are in now, on an Ethereum, private Ethereum network, not on a public blockchain though. And we have developed the APIs for ensuring that the citizens get those certificates on their mobile phone. Interestingly, this is the last slide we have. There's an immunochain developed by Kerala Digital University. It's a vaccine traceability. The second part is more interesting. Every coconut tree that gives toddy is Nira, is actually blockchain in Kerala. Because the excise department wanted to know whether that tree is from where the toddy is coming from, because toddy can be adulterated. Anyway, the vision that we all need to have, and since I don't know where she comes from, Dubai, but your original country, Russia. So all these, Estonia was part of Asia earlier. So I was thinking, why can't we have an India which is enabled with blockchain across? Because government of India is doing very well, but state governments are really tiring out. That's where I'll stop here. I hope I have communicated enough for you to start off.
Thank you so much, sir. One line of conclusion on his talk that I wanted to add is this entire K-Smart is going to be done on-chain. So the amount of applications that are going to be developed in the near future through the government of Kerala is massive. And look at the adoption, because adoption is a very important metric for a lot of chains. 30 million, that's the immediate instant adoption that you're looking at. So work with government, because if you want scale, there is no easier, better way than working closely with the government. But Juliet, I'll move to you. You've been very, very closely working with a lot of governments in the Middle East. You've just had an interaction with how the government of India and a prominent voice within the government is thinking about using blockchain. Can you just share your experiences as to how are regulations shaping and how are government use cases shaping up in the Middle East?
Sure. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me for this panel. It's an absolute honor for me to speak here in India, and especially on such an important topic as regulation. Starting from the background, right? And the general idea about UAE and India is that we all know that there is so many tech resources in India. So that's why I was really impressed by whatever is being built in India, because of course it should be the proper government tech infrastructure for those people who would love to build blockchain, who would love to interact with blockchain, who would love to build applications on blockchain, and they know they're collaborating with the government, they are not in the gray zone, and they can build a good product. So that's all about India. And coming back to the UAE, we all know that there are so many Indian people based in the UAE, and what I usually say, there is a massive opportunity happening between India and UAE in the sense that here we build technology, we develop technology, and then the technology needs to be expanded. And UAE market is one of the best one. It's the market where you can meet your customers, where you can meet your clients, that your technology could be adopted within multiple institutional players. That's why being regulated in the UAE and have the proper company set up, have the proper operational basis is quite important. So having a brief of what's happening in the UAE in general. Of course, we have Dubai, and everyone might know about VARA, which is the major regulatory authority of Dubai, Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority. And but meanwhile, there are a few, I might say, a sandbox happening within the UAE, and in Dubai, the major one, it's not a sandbox, it's a major financial regulatory authority, which is DIFC. So DIFC is running successfully Innovation Hub with a co-working space with multiple companies registered there within the fintech space. But as I usually say, once blockchain is regulated, it's becoming fintech. So we can't escape that. And in the meanwhile, like in DIFC, we are partnering for the initiative which is called Web3 and AI Campus. It's a fully newly built 10,000 square meters skyscrapers aimed to get a home for 500 startups in Web3 and AI space. And the government, of course, subsidized the company setup. And at the same time, what excites me the most is that we have Ras Al Khaimah, which is 100 kilometers away from Dubai, and it's famous for its first casino in the Middle East, which is going live in 2026. And we are strategic advisors as a VC for RAGDAO, which is Ras Al Khaimah Digital Assets Oasis. So it's the world's first Web3 free zone. So the whole free zone is focused on the Web3 technology only. So getting back to our role, because, okay, I'm VC, but I believe as investors, we are those people who communicating closely with Web3 people globally. So we have resources, we have multiple like startup resources, investors resources, blockchains, protocols. And that is very important. We need to build the ecosystem. It's not enough to set up the company. It's not enough, like, you know, to provide the regulatory landscape. It's important to build the full ecosystem. So I'm as a startup, I'm as a company, I'm coming here and I know that I have the service providers. I have investors who are interested in my technology. I have government who is supporting me in this case. So that's why we are building the whole ecosystem around what's happening in the Middle East. And we assist in bringing with like the brightest mind from global Web3 landscape into the Middle East. And one of the interesting part that we are building, they're building the DAO regulations, because we know like multiple companies, they are getting structured in the form of DAO right now. And of course, it's good for them to get regulated. But at the same time, we treat it as an evolution happening, because before everyone is structured as a foundation, then it's switched to the association. Now, coming back to the presentation we just heard, like DAO is basically the same as foundation. The only difference that the whole data is on chain, because it's really important. Like people don't understand that much, that you use blockchain, you bring all the data on chain, you bring the government on chain. So basically you've got the board members, co-founders on the company who are voting on chain, and they are providing the whole information to the government. So the whole structure is becoming super transparent. So there are multiple things happening. So we are planning like accelerations, hackathons, but as I mentioned, like collaboration between Indian and UAE market is taking the crucial role in building this Web3 landscape and provide the good way of expanding the technology globally.
So Juliet, I'll just push you back on this small initiative that she just mentioned briefly. I wanted her to elaborate more on this Ras Al Khaimah DAO, which is called RAGDAO. DAOs are increasingly taking more center stage when it comes to regulations. Lot of very cool initiatives are happening under this this umbrella of RAGDAO. Lot of entrepreneurs who are sitting here who are trying to look at moving to Dubai. You should also consider, you know, the promise that RAGDAO brings. I just wanted Juliet to just elaborate on what is this initiative, why is it different from what is happening in Dubai, and why should you know, the Indian ecosystem look up to RAGDAO?
Okay, so I just highlight some bullet points, so it will be clear for everyone. So first of all, like, you know, there are a few bottlenecks happening in the UAE and basically everywhere in the globe for Web3 people. So first of all, opening the bank account. So that's why that's the way where we need the government support, right?
Right.
So in RAGDAO we have RAGBank, and there is like the partnership happening between RAGDAO and RAGBank for every company which is registered in RAGDAO to get the bank account in RAGBank. So that's the biggest milestone, I might say. The second one is that in the UAE, so all the companies usually which are placing up there, they need to get an office, So, or at least co-working space, but the prices are super expensive. So that's why like lots of companies, they can't afford it. So in Ragdow, the first step, you can have the virtual company. So you can place your company up there, you can work globally, wherever, from whatever you want. But at the same time, if you ever decide to relocate to Ras Al Khaimah, you might know that living cost in Ras Al Khaimah is like 3 times cheaper than it's in Dubai. And it's only 100 kilometers away from Dubai. And for developers, it's quite a nice place with mountains, with a beautiful nature, with the ocean not far from there. So that's important. And another thing actually, which I didn't mention, what we are trying to do, because the ruler of the UAE said that the traditional companies, Web3 companies, they need to test blockchain technology. They need to implement blockchain technology. If we are trying to accumulate this ecosystem of institutional players, that's why the hackathons and accelerations should take place, because the finalists, they can have the interaction with Web2 companies, they can have the interaction with the institutional players, because for their technology to be used, to be integrated within traditional business. And I believe it's the major way for the mass adoption of technology itself.
Okay. That's very, very interesting. I think you should all look up the promise. You should just Google and just try and understand what Ras Al Khaimah DAO is all about. And it will be, I was surprised to look at the cool initiatives that are happening. You will see that evolving as a tech bubble in the Middle East very soon. So Bandhul, moving to you, and you should be the voice of a lot of developers and entrepreneurs who are sitting in the audience. You know, when it comes to governments in India, there's always this, this fear among entrepreneurs and developers that, they will take 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. And there is no regulatory clarity as to what is going on in the minds of the government. And whereas some other governments, say, for example, in the Middle East, are pretty, open to these ideas and suggestions. What, according to you, when you've been working in this space for a good number of years now, according to you, should the governments in India focus on, look at, consider in changing their approach to hold on to this developer base? Otherwise, all of this developer base is going to leave the country. So you are also running such a big developer training program, and everybody leaves the country and goes out. So you as a developer come entrepreneur, what do you think?
So, we have interacted with approximately 20,000 developer students in last 6 months. We went to like 65 universities in India. Okay. Almost 650 projects were built on blockchain in our latest hackathon series. And it was a huge success. The one thing that I understand, I've worked with government of Himachal, right, and delivered 2 projects with them, one with the Mother Chintapurni and one for the government schools there, so that they can experience how metaverse education will look like, right? Working with the government and talking to the officials, I never experienced hindrance towards blockchain. They are very accepting, they are very cool about it. It's just that there is a miscommunication that's happening. They don't have any hard feelings for blockchain or developers. They respect it. They understand that this is emerging technology and they need to adopt it. I've talked to a lot of senior IAS officers like Sir, and a lot of, ministers and sitting politicians, and all of them are very happy about it. They want to adopt the technology. They want to interact with the developers. Now, the problem with the developers is they are in the college and they think that government are like their college chancellors, right? And they are not very accepting and willing. But the case is other way around. So I just think that it's just a miscommunication that's happening between the government officials and the students or the developers or the entrepreneurs. So we need a good medium. Media can be one of the medium. The alternate media can be another medium that can bridge this gap. So acceptance is on the both of the sides, right? So as an entrepreneur, whenever I go to a government officer or maybe a politician, they always accept my ideas and they always welcome me for the new things. That, okay, you want to try this? Let's try this. How do you want to do this? What resources do you need from my side, right? So I have never felt that hindrance from the government side. And to the contrarian view, I particularly believe the opportunities in India is huge because we have a good base. We have a lot of users, population. We are called the DAO factory of the world. Like daily active users are, every major internet company in the world relies on India for the daily active users, right? So we are the factory for that, and we have the brilliant minds. We produce 1 million engineers every year. It's a huge number, and we have all the resources with us. And so the opportunity in India is huge. We just have to solve this communication part, because acceptance is already on both of the sides. That's my understanding of the things, and I'm very young, so my understanding can be.
No, that is very good, Bandhul. Yeah. So I'll just pick cues from what Bandhul said. This is an important thing, sir. When it comes to blockchain, our government's instinctive reaction is that, oh, this is cryptocurrency, this is hawala, and this is money laundering and all of that. That's the instinctive thing. What they forget about is that the heart of it is the core technology and the attributes of that technology. Sir, you did not fall into that trap. In fact, you ensured that the technology part of it, which has a huge promise, gets implemented into these products. So what message would you give to these entrepreneurs and developers out there to change their outlook about the government, work more closely, and what are some of the opportunities that government of Kerala under your tutelage can provide to them?
No, I'm very happy that Bandhul spoke very positively. Actually, the biggest market which has not been tapped is the government market. So if you're looking at as a startup, you don't need to go far away. There's a human problem out there everywhere. There are departments and departments. They're all looking out for solutions. Only thing is this reticence, as you said, this communication is an issue. I think the startup missions of different states are reaching out to the startups now. Kerala Startup Mission is one of the most proactive, ranked 4th in the world. So they actually give a lot of incentives to startups to look at problems and give us use cases. So that's one way of looking at it. The other way is, why didn't you just walk into another IAS officer's room and just ask, what can we do for you? I mean, today's young officers are all very positive. It's only the impression that goes out. I mean, forget Russia or UAE. The difference here is, my bop kind of attitude which we used to have. We are not like that at all. These days, everybody is looking out for solutions, because today everybody is carrying a mobile phone. Every peon, every clerk, everybody is carrying a mobile phone, and we all know the power of this mobile phone. It's another fact that we are not even using 0.00001% of it. The point is, you as people who travel by bus, go to a government office, etc., know people's problems much more than actually we do. So is it possible for you to think out of your box and bring in solutions which can solve those problems in a jiffy? Like, Chiller, a lot of those initiatives, startup, it's called Chiller. Chiller means what? Change. So that company came out with a very innovative method of microfinancing. There are n number of ways in which you can reach out, and I think every state has a startup mission which will help navigate you to the government department which requires it. See, for example, in Kerala, I told you about this excise. I think that idea was given by a startup and then later on taken by the digital university. So startups have the ability, and Kerala, we don't need to go through a tender process. I don't know about other states, but we don't need to go through a process to select a startup. If you are registered with the startup mission, I will say please come and join. Around 6 startups are actually working with me right now, and I have not gone through a tender process. So I think this communication has to happen much more. These fora help us, this kind of fora. So that's what I would say. From a regulatory angle, I don't think we need to regulate it right now. The Reserve Bank is regulating that part of it, which is about the currency part. But this technology part, what is there to regulate?
Nothing, exactly.
There's actually nothing to regulate.
This is a great point, because what a lot of people fear that, okay, blockchain means regulations automatically come in, which is not true. It is only the finance part of it wherein regulations come in. So I think this message should be loud and clear. Nobody is going to stop you if you're working around core infrastructure related work and working closely with the government. You don't have to worry about things. Adoption wise, you can imagine the scale. Under government of Kerala, there is a Kerala Blockchain Academy, which has more than 50,000 people being trained. So if you are looking for more developers, this is what you should look up to. My question to Juliet, so if there are ventures, startups who approach you, just wear your VC hat, who come in and say that, okay, I'm a startup based out of India and I'm working on, developing cool products which are going to be adopted by the government. How, as a VC, would you look at those startups in general? I know it's a very generalized question, But what do you think if that should be the approach? This is a typical SaaS story, which needs to have more prominence among the VC circles as well.
No, first of all, I should mention too, that one of our investment strategy is to invest in SaaS solutions, because I believe having the proper blockchain-based SaaS solution is quite important for the industry itself. So then startups like, and in general, our role and what we are doing is basically, and I believe everyone in the space should think about it in that perspective, what we are all the part of the new coming like Web3 landscape, yeah, and we need to contribute. Everyone mission is to contribute to make it happen, right? Like either from the investor's perspective or from the government perspective or from the builder's perspective. And what is good, because if there is a startup which is collaborating like with the Indian government, and to say more, they have some traction, they have some practical use cases. This is the way that it's getting easy for this startup to scale globally, because, for example, the startup is coming to the UAE, I can come to the regulators and say, hey, look, these guys are working with government in India and they have practical use cases, let's say with telecom companies in India or insurance companies in India. Let's do the same, because it's already tested, the technology is tested, approved, verified by the government, and we can do the same here in the UAE. And I believe that's exactly what people in the UAE are looking into, because maybe sometimes because they don't understand the technology, but positive thing that they keep in the dialogue with the Web3 native people as such as ourselves and others to understand what is exactly required. But yeah, India is a big tech hub, and if we have these practical use cases coming from India, it's super easy becoming for us to scale it.
Wonderful. Shashi, I think we'll just take one or two questions from the audience if you have. Guys, if you have any question around some of the topics that we have discussed, just shout out and we'll assign it.
Regarding comment, right, the government has clearly told on blockchain they don't have any problem. Their only problem the cryptocurrency because of black money. So I don't think anyone is thinking of regulating blockchain or technology or something like that. I think there was some comment made. It's only about a cryptocurrency. That is what RBI is concerned about. And even the US government has taken steps last week.
Right. That's exactly the point.
And we have an India blockchain stack, and India blockchain, it has come up with all these guidelines. Thank you.
How much you feel like this is the next internet or the evolution of internet? What do you feel, like how do you feel? Do you really believe in this?
So yeah, I believe it, because again, I'm into this industry for the last 7 years. I've interacted with like lakhs of people, and this is the new internet, because again, it is the ownership again in the hands of the people. For example, we demonstrated metaverse education in government schools of Himachal, and students were blown away with what can be done with the metaverse. So there are huge implications that can be here, and it's the future for sure.
I think I just want to reiterate what the Honorable Minister said in the morning. I think he more or less captured the whole thing that blockchain can do for governance. I'm coming from a governance sector. I believe that this is a new internet, definitely, because people want safe things. Their certificates, their documents. You know what happens in Chennai today? Lots of certificates are lost because these are all physical papers. So why can't it be on a, your vault, which is blockchain? So I think it's only a question of time. Some people will start adopting. We are all early adopters. There are many states which are early adopters, but I think, before people understand it much, from a regulation standpoint, in terms of, why should you adopt blockchain, etc. Because there are different schools of thought, even in government. Why should we adopt blockchain, etc. So before we do that, I think there should be what's called substantive adoption in various departments, like I'm doing right now. It will get multiplicated across departments, then becomes routine. So I think
Juliet,
it's only a question of
you
time.
wanted to say something.
So in general, we all know that the history is repeating itself but evolving at the same time. And I believe we are definitely on the wave of the next industrial revolution right now. And blockchain is one of important part of that, which has been first of all driven by the globalization, which is kind of, happening right now and the multiple other problems that we have. So it's the new way that we can't escape.
Closing remarks, Rajat, for your panel.
No, I think, in short, I have been working alongside various state governments and the central government. There is massive excitement, but from a government standpoint, there are 2-3 areas that they want to focus on. First thing is, India should be the developer base for the entire world. Because governments and politicians more so, are concerned about jobs. And increasingly creating jobs in the IT space is very important, and I think government is going to push in a lot of money which will go into skilling, etc. That is one predominant area where I will see the focus of the government. Second is massive PSUs, enterprises of the government adopting blockchain. They will be at the vanguard. They will be the first early adopters. We just heard one use case that Shashi shared. It is HPCL. It is a Hindustan Petroleum Corporation. They generate a lot of invoices in their daily transactions of everybody buying petrol out of the gas stations. They are taking the entire invoicing system on chain. So any one PSU does this job, all other PSUs will match. So the scale and the amount of work that is going to happen through these PSUs is very, very, very big. I think that is a second thrust. Third thrust is once the G20 this time formalized, how should the regulations look like in the finance space also. There are credible agencies which are working on global guidelines and regulations to, for once and for all, just finish off the regulations on the finance side, and then you will see the entire fintech space also booming. But that's going to happen, it will take another couple of years, but that's the pipeline of things that you will see exciting news coming in from. So I would like to finally thank all of you for taking out time. You're all super busy in what you do, and I wish you all the luck. ICP and Shashi is all here to provide you all the technical support that you would need from the ICP side, and you could all join in the journey of ICP as it grows in the country in launching more and more blockchain solutions. Thanks again.
Can we have a big round of applause for our esteemed panelists?